Hi, my name is Jessica Fleege, and I'm going to be talking about the pandemic COVID-19. Nearly one-third of all Americans believe in a conspiracy theory related to COVID-19. This includes that it was released on purpose, that Bill Gates released it in order to profit from a vaccine, and that the 5G towers have something to do with COVID-19. Part of one-third of these Americans even believe that it could be a hoax. There are people out there in the streets right now saying things like COVID-19 is a lie and my constitutional rights are essential. How do you fake a global pandemic? How do you fake numbers like these? To give you an idea, currently there are about 3.4 million cases of COVID-19 in the world. There are about 2 million active cases going on right now, and a little over 1.3 million closed cases. Of those cases, about 1.1 million people recovered, and about 244,000 people have died. What that means is that about 18% of all closed cases have ended in death. These numbers are staggering everywhere, but the United States has definitely been hit very hard. Arizona alone has over 8,300 cases. New Jersey has over 100,000 cases, and New York has over 300,000 cases. This is a dangerous and devastating pandemic that is changing our world as we know it forever. Now, there have been a few things about the pandemic that haven't been all bad. We have gotten closer to our family. Pollution has gotten much better. Trash, the oceans have cleared up. Things like animals, they're running around Yellowstone, they're running around safari trails. Mother Earth is healing. But at the same time, people are in trouble. We need to do our best to flatten the curve and to lower these numbers so that we can live through this pandemic. People protesting and ignoring stay-at-home orders is not what's best for the world right now. Some states are reopening sooner than recommended because they feel the pressure from these protesters. We need to continue to shelter in place. We need to follow the models that have been put in place, and we need to reopen slowly according to the pandemic playbook and the CDC guidelines. CDC guidelines state that we need to be social distancing. We should only be going outside for essential reasons, and only essential workers should be going to work every day. Groceries should be delivered or picked up, and you should be going through drive-ups only. You should be avoiding inside of buildings at all costs. You should never get within 6 feet of another person unless you live in the same home with them, and you should be always wearing a mask when you are outside. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, if everyone chooses to wear a mask, the contagion probability is about 1.5%. But even one person choosing not to wear a mask can raise the contagion probability to up to 70%. And if nobody chooses to wear a mask, it can be as high as 95%. Everybody needs to be taking precautions. The CDC actually has patterns so that you can sew your own masks. And if you can't sew, they have patterns that include things like bandanas or t-shirts and rubber bands. Simple but effective. Also, New York Times and Huffington Post have recipes so that you can make your own sanitizer, disinfectant, wipes, and spray. Currently, it's very hard to get your hands on supplies like that, but if you just have things around the house like rubbing alcohol or bleach, you can use these recipes to make these essential items. You should have a 30-day supply of food and essential items in your home at all times, but you should not be hoarding items. Having 6 months worth of toilet paper does not help your situation. It just hinders the next person. Think of your neighbors in your community when you go to buy things, and don't over-order. Listen to the scientists. Listen to the sources. Look at all news channels. Let's be honest, there is no unbiased news channel anymore. So watch them all, put together a clear picture, and then do your research. Look for peer-reviewed articles and dig deep. Read things like the pandemic playbook. Watch the briefings, but take things with a grain of salt. Follow the CDC guidelines and be smart about the situation. Recently, it was found that the lead protester in some of the protests last week has now become positive with COVID-19. It is obvious that this disease is still rampant. Do not fall victim to conspiracies or your selfish wants to go out. Playbooks and models have been created by some of the best minds in the country and in the world. Use these resources. The Arizona model recently said that we should not be loosening restrictions until June 8th. Unfortunately, Doug Ducey has decided to start reopening as early as May 4th and is thinking about allowing restaurants to reopen as early as May 12th. Just because it's open doesn't mean that you have to go. Don't rush out. There is a balance between being safe and being healthy and doing what's best for the economy. We need to find the balance between economy and health. Slowly reopening, using 6 to 8 week time frames between each phase, using masks and social distancing for the next 1 to 2 years after reopening. All of these measures are going to help us stay safe. Some experts say that the pandemic could go on for as long as 2 years, and by the end, 70 to 80% of people could be affected. To slow these numbers and protect ourselves, we need to limit trips outside. We need to take social distancing seriously. We need to wash our hands thoroughly. We need to wear masks, and we need to sanitize everything. We need to work hard to keep ourselves and others safe. People like my grandmother who are over the age of 60 and who have high health risks like lung issues or diabetes are extremely susceptible to COVID-19. Going out and then coming back into the same household as somebody who is high risk puts them at extreme possibility of infection. Please consider if it's necessary before going outside to get at something. These numbers are still exploding. They're showing that as of today, when you open a beach or you open a park or a protest is being held, 2 to 14 days after that, numbers exponentially increase. That shows me that we should not be rushing back out to beaches or hair salons. Also, do not take medicines that have not been tested for COVID-19. Things like hydroxychloroquine can be extremely dangerous to your health. Self-medication, using bleach baths, and injecting cleaner are deadly. Please, before you do anything, think about it. Be smart, be logical, and be safe so that we can get through this pandemic together.